Alright guys, this is kind of a video response to some comments that Lou left me, and I wanted to kind of explain this a little bit better. I know it's kind of, unless you've gotten in there and kind of looked at it and spent some time thinking about it, it's difficult to understand this satellite stuff with the RV. And so basically this video is kind of a drawn out version of what's going on in the camper with the amplifier and the little jumper that many RVs come with now. And in this example, I've got 3 TVs, and you know, most of us have like a main TV in the living, and then maybe one in a bedroom, and then maybe one, say, outside under the awning. But in this example, this shows kind of how the system works right now with this jumper thing. And so you hook into the street, whether it's a cable. And the problem that we're trying to fix here is the fact that if you hook your satellite in here and it goes through this amplifier, it messes it up. At least it messed mine up. Some folks say that you can do that. I have not been able to figure out a way to hook your satellite dish in here and then hook, say, a receiver at one of these places, hoping that the signal will go through all this. When it gets to that amplifier, that amplification messes up the signal. So, in this example, you could hook the cable there, and it'll feed all the TVs. You could use your antenna and amplifier, and use your antenna. All the TVs would work. Now, so that's how this jumper works. Now, if you wanted to hook, usually this jumper and amplifier are in the very close proximity to one TV. In the case of my camper, that's in the back bedroom, which is kind of stinky, because if you did take this jumper off right here, okay, and you took this loose and you hooked your satellite dish in here, okay, so now you're basically bypassed all this. You could hook your satellite dish in here and it would work fine, and you could hook your TV up to your satellite dish, and you would have your satellite working fine with this setup. But like in my case, the main TV is in the front of the RV, and this splitter that works well here, you've now bypassed it when you take this jumper off right here and hook in your satellite dish. So that's kind of that's the reason why I went the way I did. So now what I'm going to do is bring in another diagram, and you basically can tell nothing's changed here. The splitter is still feeding these 3 TVs. The street is still coming into a jumper, but you'll notice here now, instead of having 2, and I'm just going to kind of overlay this. Over here you just got the jumper, the 2 jumper. Over here you've got 4, okay? And so basically what we're doing here, kind of zoom in a little bit closer, you're coming in from the street and you've got that same jumper. The reason why you want to have this jumper is because if you want it to work like this, you need to be able to keep your jumpers on, in this case these jumpers, to make it all work like it came from the factory, like this, okay? But what we really need to do is we need to be able to hook our satellite in at the street, not having to run a wire through a window. And my goal was to be able to put the satellite dish at this TV, satellite receiver at this TV, satellite receiver at this TV, whatever I wanted to do, and be able to get satellite at any TV, and not be having to put my satellite dish in close proximity to this stuff. So the second jumper basically is giving you access to this splitter. And so what you do is you bring basically the out from your amplifier, which normally feeds straight to the splitter, you bring it through another jumper, so that when you want it to work like it's factory designed, you just keep the jumper on and everything works right. But if you can see here, you'll see this blue jumper. Basically what I do is I take these 2 off, okay? So now I've got the street terminating here, and then I take this jumper off, and I have access to this splitter. So when I take these 2 jumpers off and then jump across diagonally down here, I've basically connected the street straight into the splitter and then straight to the TV. So now all three of my TVs are getting the signal from the street and it's bypassing this amplifier. So then if I had three receivers, which in this case I don't have three receivers, if I did have three receivers, I could technically put a satellite receiver here, I could put a satellite receiver here, and I could put a satellite receiver here and be able to change the channels at each TV independently of the other ones and watch TV in 3 different places. But my goal was just to have the satellite dish either one of these TVs and be able to work it without having to do any crazy stuff. So I hope this explains it a little bit better. Please post any comments below and I'll answer them when I get to them. And Lou, I hope this helps explain it. This box right here, this plate that you see in the other video, basically it's just a blank plate. They make them with 4 holes, they make them with 6 holes, they make them with, I think they even make one with 8 holes. But the holes are just generic. And then you buy these little, you could buy speaker connectors, you could buy blanks to fill in the hole, you could buy, in my case, the coaxial clip-ins, and you just clip in that whatever you need in each blank. And so I just basically made me a jumper plate with 4. You'll notice in the video there is a 5th coax, and what I did is I bought a splitter that had actually 4 or 5 outputs, and then I ran a coax up to the bottom and that bottom, that connection on the bottom right side of that jumper plate is for me to actually plug a TV in right here in the back and not have to be doing some other stuff. So that's what that is. I think that's all I wanted to say. Video's getting long, and but anyway, take your family RVing, and I'm not that big on having TV when I'm camping, but when Auburn football's playing, I definitely want to be able to watch it. So, War Eagle.